Evening Cherries fans, and welcome to the latest opposition preview here on Up the Cherries in all departments. After another 4-1 win, this time against Millwall, we face one of the pre-season friendlies in Brentford. As I said earlier on in the season, I did think that they were the best team in the league. To preview this opposition, I've got a very special guest with me in Natalie Sawyer.
Hello.
Evening, Natalie. How are you doing? Good to see you again.
Good to see you again, Craig, as well. Yes, I'm very well. Thank you. Very, very well. How are you?
Yeah, very well. Thank you. So, firstly, it's been a bit of a crazy week, hasn't it, so to speak, with the European Super League stuff. How has it been at Talksport covering it? And also, what's your opinions on it?
I think, like anywhere, it's kind of been on every outlet, hasn't it? So it's fair to say, with regards to Talksport, it's been manic, it's been chaotic, because obviously within 48, 72 hours, whatever it was, you've gone from 6 clubs deciding, well, we don't want to participate in certain competitions, or certainly we want to look to participate in a new competition, to backtracking, withdrawing, and realising that they've made a horrendous mistake. And yeah, it is a horrendous mistake, because I cannot believe what they were suggesting the European Super League was going to be all about. I remember reading about it on obviously when it all came out on the Sunday night, thinking, this is ridiculous. There's no jeopardy to this. This is just 15 clubs plus 5 invited clubs every season to just have a knockabout, really. And yes, okay, there was a final at the end of it. But ultimately, to me, it sounded boring. It didn't sound interesting. There was no intrigue to me. And I'm just so happy that they've all been sensible and come to the right conclusions now that this is totally wrong, and totally wrong for football, because as we both know, supporting teams now currently in the Championship, vying to get into the Premier League, it's all about the Premier League. It's all about the dream of being able to compete against some of these huge, historical, huge clubs. And Bournemouth have been lucky to do it, but we've never been able to do that. And for that sort of be taken away, it's just galling.
The thing I found with it was that how quickly it was announced. It looks like that it was discussed for a long, long time beforehand. None of the fans from the 6 clubs, from the 6 English clubs, were happy with the proposals at all. You had it was one after the other announcing it. And then all of a sudden, once it all fell apart, which was literally yesterday, again, it was one after the other. Firstly, it was Man City that come out. I know Chelsea did announce it beforehand, but I believe they were last to decide to withdraw or put the documents together to withdraw from it. Do you think there could have been any good to come from it? Because I can't see anything apart from making lots of money and making the league even more competitive, because they still wanted to play in the Premier League.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. It was just pure greed, wasn't it? It was these 6 clubs plus obviously the other, the 12 altogether, the dirty dozen, as we can refer to them, that simply felt like they're not getting enough money out of football. Everybody else is getting it. UEFA, FIFA, they're getting it. It's all filtering down because they're having to give money away to others, and they're not getting the slice of the pie that they want. Which, quite frankly, is ridiculous when you think about, have you seen the state of football further down the leagues? There are clubs going out of business, and you're worried about your financial situation, which, to be honest, is going to be fine. Whether you're in this tournament or not, they will still be fine, these big 6 clubs. I hate referring to them as big 6. I shouldn't even refer to them as big 6, so I'll take that out as such. What good could have come of it? Well, nothing, I don't think, Craig. I think the good that's come out of it is the fight that we saw from everybody against it, and everybody uniting as one, deciding actually football as our sport is so important, and the basics of football that we know over here in terms of the relegation and promotion, the hopes and all the nightmares that come with football are so vital to what we have over here. And clearly we knew that there are some American owners that are involved in some of these clubs who are not used to relegation when they think about what they have in America and the system that they have there. And I mean, I don't know. I can't understand how anyone thought that it was going to get off the ground and people were going to give it a thumbs up. It was a disaster from day one, and I'm so pleased it's not happening.
Oh, most definitely. And there was some real anger aimed towards it, especially before the Chelsea match the other day, before the Liverpool match. I believe there was some protests even at Tottenham. It just stank from the get-go, and there was no thought for clubs like ours. There was no thought for clubs further down the ladder who would be badly affected by this, because there would be more money going to those big six, or I hate calling them big six because, let's be honest, Arsenal haven't really done much for a couple of years, have they really? But yeah, thank God it's been put to rest, and hopefully. Do you feel that there needs to be punishment to stop this possibility ever cropping up again?
I do. I do think there should be more punishment. I don't think we can just go, okay, you've backed out now, so all's okay, because they've broken a massive trust. Not only did they decide to form this crazy league, but it's the underhandedness as well. It's the fact that there were other people, Alexander Shefferin, for example, the UEFA president, he fully believed so many of these clubs were on board with the new Champions League proposals, which they in themselves are another argument about whether or not they should be happening in the way that he's proposing it. But it's just the fact that they were all going along and suggesting everything's fine, nothing to worry about, and then suddenly, out of nowhere, they put out this statement that they've all agreed to join it. So yeah, I do think there should be some retrospective punishment, and it is unfair on the fans, of course, because the fans have done nothing wrong, and if anything, the fans done everything right in this situation because they fought for what is right. But if we don't punish them, they will just think they can get away with it time and time again and be the big time bullies that they've always been. What the punishment should be, I'm not quite sure. Whether it should be a fine, perhaps, but then equally I think, well, they can afford a fine. Should it be a points deduction? Well, perhaps. Maybe they should start next season with a points deduction, which ultimately I don't think will matter because they'll all have enough points they'll win enough games, I should say, to get themselves out of any trouble. And like I say, it's unfair on the fans, but when you think about all the other stuff that goes on within football where clubs are punished with points deductions, it's never fair on the fans, but we're happy to give out points deductions then, so I don't see what the difference is now.
Well, look at us years ago, minus 17. Rotherham were on the same. Luton were minus 30. Now, how you get back from that, well, they didn't.
No.
And it's impossible. Another thought that went through my mind is annulling all their results this season, which therefore would mean no Champions League qualification, which they wouldn't like. It would mean that the title is challenged between West Ham, Leicester and Leeds. But it might be the way to do it. It might be the way to say, look, you're not bigger than football, Man City. You're not bigger than football, Arsenal. You're not bigger than football, Tottenham. I
think whatever they do, I think it has to be a big-ish punishment just to prove a point that no longer are we going to take it from you six, that you all think that you run the game and you don't run the game. Ultimately, this is the game for everybody. It's going to be an interesting one. I know there are some directors of certain Premier League clubs that have suggested that they don't want to upset the apple cart anymore, and that they're happy to just welcome them back as long as they've apologised, which I think perhaps in-house they may have done, less so outwardly. I know some of the statements were a little wishy-washy. But then equally, I know there are some directors who have said, no, this is our opportunity. This is our opportunity to stamp down on them or clamp down on them. And it will be interesting to see what happens. But I do think there should be some sort of punishment because they try to essentially ruin our game.
One of the other suggestions I saw was, and especially aimed at Man United and Real Madrid, because again, it's a rumour that's been going around that they were the figureheads for all this, relegating them to the Championship. But at the same time, is that unfair on the Championship teams next year? Because Man United have got enough money to get themselves back out there. The Italian football did that with Juventus, and look where Juventus are now.
It's an interesting idea. You're probably right. It's probably not fair on the Championship sides because Manchester United will just walk the league, and annoyingly, they'll probably walk it and break every record there is. And do we really want that? As people that are in the Championship right now, as much as we're trying to get out of it, do we really want a club to come in and break records that we at some point have perhaps wanted our clubs to break? I'm not. Look, I don't know if we can actually relegate them as such, but whether it's a points deduction that they start with next season or if it's even a transfer embargo, let's say to them, no, you're not, and not just make it like one window, make it a few windows and just say no. Because this is our chance. It's the biggest chance we're ever going to have to sort of say no more. Are we taking this? They got it wrong, and let's be honest, they're trying to make amends. I know I've seen Josh Kroenke. He's been holding something today, some AGM of some sort or EGM perhaps. He's making all the right noises. He's certainly saying any costs. As to what's resulted of coming out of this Super League will certainly be on the Kroenke side. It won't be Arsenal's side. So there are clubs looking to make amends from all of this. So at least they're doing the right thing. It's just it should never have got to this stage, Craig. Just should never have got to this stage. They should have read the room a long time ago, and they just didn't. Yeah,
completely agree. And fair play to PSG, Bayern Munich, and Borussia Dortmund. They did, stop. They were invited, but they didn't go along with it. So I've got to say, fair play to them. To be honest, we could talk about it all day.
Really. Such a good subject. Such a good subject.
Yeah. There was quite a funny thing, actually, that I saw going round about KFC. That KFC had a lack of chicken longer than the Super League existed. So to be honest, that did bring a smile to my face. Football fans always turn a very bad situation to.
We're absolutely very quick-witted, aren't we, football fans? Really, so yeah,
most definitely. Well, I guess we better talk about this weekend's game because that's quite important. Well, not this weekend, I should say tomorrow's game. It is the weekend. Sorry, I'm going mad. It's been a busy week, hasn't it? So at the moment, Bournemouth do sit above Brentford in third, but Brentford have got a game in hand on us. After the first game, I did say that Brentford were the best side that I'd seen all season. But it does feel like the wheels have fallen off a little bit. What's gone wrong?
Oh, good question. To be honest, what has gone wrong? I think we're still quite a young side. I don't think there's any hangover, for example, from last season. I don't think that's it at all. I think we've had some injuries like every club has had, but key injuries to certain personnel that are very difficult to replace. Rico Henry, for example, Josh Da Silva, brilliant, drives in that midfield for us. Both of those have been missing the last few games or the last while anyway. So they've been huge misses for us. And I just think there's the inevitable tiredness that's probably creeping in because, and that's for everybody, but I know some teams seem to be better equipped at it right now. And maybe I'm just making an excuse, but there's an element of that as well because we only had 2 weeks off and then you're back into it again and no time to recharge, no time even for the new players to sort of bed in and get to know their teammates. It was straight to it. So, there's a number of reasons perhaps as to why it's not quite working out. But having said that, we're unbeaten in 8, drawn drawn 6 as well in that time. On paper, you said you're unbeaten in 8. That's brilliant. But the problem is it's the fact that we've drawn 6. That's not been great. And some of our performances have been really hit and miss. You know, one day we are electrifying and brilliant, like we were against Preston. And then you have the game against Birmingham, which I happened to be at Brentford. And the first half, you thought, okay, we're doing all right. We're going to kick on now. We're going to win this second half. And we just were awful. And it finished 0-0. It was a dire game in the end. So it's just the inconsistency, if anything. We just cannot get a run of games together at the moment, of winning games, I should say.
Considering we're in such good form at the moment, and do you think this is probably the worst time to play us? And secondly, does it concern you, our form going? Because it looks like we're both going to end up in the playoffs. It will take a minor miracle to overhaul Watford now. Although you have got that game in hand. If you win that, you're a little bit closer. But I think their win against Norwich pretty much shores it up now. But
we needed to win every game, really, to have a realistic chance of overhauling them. And we still have to play them, but I can't see us closing it now.
No, and likewise, I was hopeful, and that man Dan Gosling come back to bite us. All right, not against us, but he scored against Norwich the other day, which therefore has pretty much. I think we're consigned to the playoffs now. We've pretty much got our we have got our playoff place, considering that Reading drew.
Yeah.
But it would be nice to have that pipe dream for a little bit longer, wouldn't it?
Oh, certainly would have. Yeah, like I say, I was at I've just totally forgotten who we played the other day. Cardiff game. Apologies. Yeah. Again, because I was quite fortunate to do some stuff for Brentford, so I was there, and it was a great game. I really, really enjoyed it. Considering some of the performances I've seen of late have been so bad that I didn't really go with much hope for this one, other than thinking, please, if it's a 1-0 scrappy win, I'll take it just to keep it going. And yeah, like I say, it was a really, really exciting game, I thought, quite end to end, a lot more open than I expected it to be, with Cardiff playing more football than I expected them to play. And yeah, I fully thought if we can beat Cardiff, we'll take it to at least to the Watford game. We'll take it to the Watford game, and that might be the decider. But we gave away a penalty, and a bit dubious. I'm not sure it really was a penalty. I think actually if we were in the Premier League and you got VAR, they might say that's not a penalty. But anyway, we don't want VAR, so that's not what we're talking about. And then we scored a goal, which was quite fortunate in the sense that Alex Smithies, it just went through him. So how it went through, I don't even know. But it would have been nice, wouldn't it, that we'd kept it going for a bit. I even had faint hopes that maybe Norwich wouldn't win promotion as early as they have done, just to keep it all going for a bit longer. But anyhow, even. Yeah.
To be honest, this week, VAR has been relegated to the second least favourite thing in football. So it's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And not to forget, Jose Mourinho got sacked, and no one's talking about that either.
Well, I did have thoughts when he was sacked, because it was in such a critical time with the European Super League.
That, a good time to run it, really.
Yeah, there's a lot of questions that I asked. Was it due to performances, or did he just not agree with it? I'm sure Jose will come out eventually, won't he?
I'm sure.
Yeah. So, Ivan Toney, he's been in prolific form, hasn't he, this season? But there is talk about him leaving the club, which seems to happen every season at Brentford, unfortunately for you. Has it unsettled the side, do you feel?
I don't think it has, because I think a lot of those players are accustomed to it. We knew it last season. Well, we, as Brentford fans, we're certainly used to it. I don't think it's unsettled the side at all, really. I think how can you begrudge someone who's scored 29 goals, that dream of perhaps once again playing in the Premier League, because obviously he did have a spell at Newcastle and that didn't work out for whatever reason. So I think, and I also think most players have no problem and understand that this is a short career. I know everyone uses that as an example, but it is a short career and they want to make the most of it. So most of them will accept that if you do well, you're going to get seen, you're going to get mentioned, and you're going to perhaps move on to a bigger club. So yeah, I mean, of course, it's a shame because we'll have had a season of Ivan Toney that most fans won't have actually got to have seen live in the stadium, and to think he might leave after that will be very sad. But equally, wow, what a season it's been for him! It's been fantastic.
If you do get promoted, though, I feel that he'd probably stay.
Yeah, I imagine. Yeah, I think so. I think he'd certainly give it a go with us, and then if he does well with us, and for whatever reason it doesn't work out for us if we got promoted and we are relegated or whatever, then he's put himself in the shop window. So yeah, I'd like to think that if we were to go up, everyone that's kind of been a part of our team and squad this season would stick with us just to give it a go.
Looking at the playoffs now, so it looks like that's the feeling I've got as well, because because we're going to be in there. Who do you really want to avoid? Because I'll be honest with you, I want to avoid Brentford in the semis.
Oh,
I do want to avoid you in the semis.
You might want to change your mind after Saturday. Who knows? To be fair, though, yes, I would want to avoid you. I think in a 2 legs, it's quite frightening. I think a one-off game, it's irrelevant, really. You can go back to last season and what happened with us. We were very much the form team going into the playoffs. Yes, we had the heartache of missing out on not getting automatic promotion, having had a number of opportunities to try and seal that. But we were so the form team going in. And then when it came to that final, it was just not something to relive. So yeah, we definitely wouldn't want to play you. I also think Barnsley are a bit. I mean, look, any team's going to frighten me because I'll just be nervous and biting my nails the whole time. But if I have to pick a team that I might want to play, and I'm basing this on performances I've seen a while ago because I've not actually seen them recently, is Swansea. I know they've started to pick up some wins, but they weren't the Swansea team that we played last season in the playoffs. From what I've seen, they may have changed, and I may be doing them a disservice right now, but they were more sort of defensive than I expected, and not the Swansea way, should we say, that we've become, that we've all kind of grown to know. So yeah, I would quite like to play them, but then again, we need to be on form, and we're not really on form at the moment.
I think where we played Barnsley earlier on in the season, it was before their great run. Right. They recently beat us 3-2. We did give them a good game. Yeah. Swansea, though, on the other hand, we beat them 3-0 recently. And I think they were very defensive, like you say, earlier on in the season. I think they dropped a bit. I think they've picked up a bit now, but I think that might get to them in the playoffs. So I've got to agree with you. I've got my fingers crossed for Swansea as well. You get Barnsley, but
Swansea. Oh my goodness.
Maybe we should throw away third place to you, so you have to play Barnsley.
You know what? That's the interesting thing, though, isn't it? When Watford's promotion is sealed, which could be a matter of games, isn't it? I mean, I know there's not many games left, but even think about that final game of the season. That could become a tactical thing, couldn't it?
It could.
Do we want to win this? Do we want to draw this? Do we want to lose this? Just to see where you might end up in the playoff position. So, yeah, it's all this, again, more underhandedness that might be going on that we don't know about.
Yeah, so, I think we both agree. Swansea is the team we both want. And I think we both agree that we don't want to play each other again in the playoffs. Although, I could imagine it being a final.
Oh, stop. Honestly, I can't. We have such a I think we have the worst record ever with playoffs. Yeah. I mean, we are abysmal when it comes to them. And I just can't bear it. And the thing is, what all Brentford fans are like right now is they're trying to still be half full. So we're all sort of being, well, if it is the playoffs, it's got to be our year sometime, hasn't it? That's what we're all saying. It's got to be our year sometime. But then we did that last year. Look what happened there. So, yeah, I can't bear it. I might even have to just go away, go to a remote island and not pay attention to the playoffs.
Do you know what? I'd like to go to a remote island as well, considering the year we've had. But hopefully, fingers crossed, next year, whatever division we're in, at least we'll be able to get into the grounds. But,
yeah. Well, that's the other thing as well. I'm wondering, by the time the playoffs come around, will fans be allowed in, like a small percentage? Because they're allowing fans for Premier League games.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if we will be allowed to have some fans back, which will be good.
It would be amazing, the playoff final, to actually have a full house.
Absolutely, yeah.
And I guess that everybody would be a winner in that sense. That at least we're all back at football. But for ourselves, I think we need to get back in the Premier League. I think we need to, otherwise we're going to have a clear out.
Like
I think
fire sale of some sort.
I think we probably will. Which I'm dreading, but we'll have to see. But
having said that, Craig, let me just ask, what has Jonathan Woodgate done? Because he's really transformed you, it feels.
Well, he's done a fantastic job. There was a lot of people doubting him when he took over. So Jason Tindall was dismissed after a defeat against Sheffield Wednesday. It was atrocious performance. It wasn't the Bournemouth that we saw earlier on in the season. It's not the Bournemouth that we're seeing now. Jonathan Woodgate had a very good start. There was only one defeat in his caretaker reign, and that was against QPR, and he was actually appointed later on in the day. A lot of fans went, "What are you doing? We've just been beaten by QPR." A team of further down the table. At that point, I think QPR were in quite good form. So I don't think we can read too much into that. But since, these past 7 or 8 games, he's been outstanding. The team have pulled together. I've liked what Kelly and Dan Juma are doing. They've been fantastic. They've been working together. Brooks has found his old form back. Solanke's holding the ball up, opening up for other players. Ben Pearson's been a revelation, I think.
Wow.
In the when Preston played us earlier on in the season and beat us at Dean Court, I thought Ben Pearson was fantastic, and it was a surprise that he actually left Preston. I didn't think he would. I didn't think he would, because he's been there for so long. But he's been absolutely fantastic, and a very, very astute signing by Jonathan Woodgate and the team. So I'm very optimistic now going into these last 3 games, and then potentially 6. I'm very, very optimistic. Our running, I think, after we've played yourselves, is the last 2 games are fairly straightforward. I think Wickham probably, and it's a shame, Wickham probably be down at that point. And then we've got Stoke, a team who have got absolutely nothing to play for and who are in terrible form. So we could win the last 3, which puts us in great momentum. But like you say, with Brentford last season, you were the form team going into the playoffs. Sometimes when it gets to Wembley, it doesn't count for much.
No, it really, really doesn't. But having heard what you have to say about Bournemouth, I'm now dreading Saturday's game and dreading the potential of playing you in the playoffs, because it's all going well for you and a little bit wrong for us. But like I say, we aren't losing. We just can't win at the moment, which is really frustrating. And as I said before as well, one half can be brilliant, and then the next half, it's just what has happened to us. We've fallen apart within 45 minutes. So yes, be interesting. Maybe we'll raise our game. Maybe this is the perfect game, actually, for us to sort of raise ourselves up for, because we know that you're going to be in the playoffs. We want to certainly secure our playoff spot, but we want to give you a good game. So, yeah, might be interesting.
Personally, I don't think we'll play each other in the semis. because I think one of us will finish third and the other won't fall as far as sixth. But it just depends where everybody finishes. But I'm going to put you on the spot, Natalie, now. You know what I'm going to ask. How do you think it's going to go?
Obviously, it's on Saturday. We're not going Mystic Meg really into the future, are we?
No.
What's going to happen? I mean, look, I can only ever back Brentford. Whether that's wise in this case, I don't know. I am going to say that we are going to win 2-1. I always go 2-1. That's always my standard response.
Do you know what? I'm going to say 2-1, but I'm going to say the other way. So I'm not going to bet against my own team. Well, thank you again, Natalie, for coming on to this opposition preview. It's been an absolute pleasure to talk to you, and hopefully, fingers crossed, be able to actually see you at Wembley.
I know.
It'd be amazing. Actually go to a game.
Well, like I say, I've been fortunate, I must say, Craig.
Yeah.
But it just lacks fans. That's the only drawback. I mean, I've been so lucky and I can't really grumble at all, but you can't help but just think, if only you had at least a few thousand, whatever it was, But anyway, yes, fingers crossed, Wembley. We're both going to be there, fingers crossed.
We will be.
Now I'm talking about my ear. But yeah, maybe we'll do the business at Wembley and we'll have fans there. Woo-hoo.
You might not want us there, though.
Well, I don't think we do, really. Well, fans or Bournemouth, the team.
Bournemouth.
No, I don't know. Well, look, we will see after Saturday. That's how I'll know whether or not I want to play Bournemouth or not.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much again, Natalie. It's been a pleasure. Thanks.
Thank you.
And thank you, everybody, for joining me on this opposition preview. Please do remember to hit the like, subscribe, and the bell button to be alerted for any new videos. Until the next one, up the cherries, and I'll see you then.